Good morning. Some of you might have noticed that I haven't been posting that much lately due to various things that have been happening in my life. And so I think I'll take a few moments to talk about what's been happening with me. And I feel like the last 4 or 5 months have been a deep tunnel that I've been going through with many things happening. And normally I don't really talk about my personal life very much. I try to keep my channel as a teaching channel, but sometimes by sharing my own personal experience with you, you can see how I deal with things by using my practice, and it can become a teaching moment, even though it involves other personal things other than Kung Fu that have been happening to me. I've had quite a few people reach out to me on Facebook asking to be friends, and I don't really socialize on Facebook very much anymore. I keep it just probably 4 or 5 posts a year to kind of keep family in touch with what's happening, if there's anything that happens to us. And that's about it. I don't use Facebook as a way to socialize and make friends or communicate. So if I turn you down, don't take that personally. As well, I don't use my channel to talk about my personal life other than trying to use my personal life as a way of demonstrating how to extend your practice. Um, but recently, some things have happened in my life that has made me very introspective. It's a time of reflection. Sometimes the hardest times make you reevaluate your life, and you have to search for the way to go forward. Many of you who've been watching my videos have seen the beautiful family that we have in animals around us. Last fall, we lost that little yellow cat that you've seen playing around with my staff and running in and out in the videos. Living in a country, you don't have control of everything. Um, we had a cougar wandering around in the fall, and we believe that that's what took 3 of our cats. When we originally moved to Lake County, the idea was to set up a ranch where I could have horses and, we could have lots of animals around us. In fact, we've had so many animals at our ranch that a lot of our family called the ranch the Ark, like Noah's Ark, because we feed the wildlife and we have lots of animals. And at one point, we had 4 donkeys and 8 cats and 2 dogs and assorted wildlife. We even at one point took in a little fawn that my wife discovered in the woods, and we couldn't find the mother, so we nursed that fawn for about 4 or 5 months, and then it died unexpectedly. So one of the major things that happened recently, about 2 or 3 months ago, and I've waited this long to be able to talk about it, was Adam, the mammoth jack donkey that you've seen in many of my videos, passed away unexpectedly. We've had Adam for about 19 years, and when we got him, he was about 3 or 4. So that means that he was about 24 years old, 23 years old. Donkeys can live to be about 25 or to 35, but one morning I noticed that he was in the stall kind of listless. The day before, he had been kicking up his heels when I shooed him away from something, and he was acting very normal. And then the next day, I noticed that he had been standing in the stall. It was a drizzly day, and so that wasn't too unusual, except that I noticed that he wasn't eating his food. And my wife noticed it too. And he kind of stood in the stall in the corner the whole day. So the next morning, I went out to check on him, and he was still standing in that corner of the stall. He went over to get a drink of water, and he was still kind of, there. And I was hoping that he would kind of break out of it. But when I went to check on him after breakfast, he had keeled over and passed away. It was very sudden. And so I contacted my farrier, my horseshoer, and talked to him about it. And he called around and talked to various people. And his take on it was that it was maybe an aneurysm or like a blood clot or a heart attack or something very sudden, because at first we thought it might be food poisoning because there was mushrooms around coming out. But the farrier said that if it had been food poisoning, he had been rolling around on the ground a few days. So that was pretty hard on me because I was pretty attached to him. And as I said, the reason why we moved to Lake County was so that I could have horses. And over the 31 years that we lived in Lake County, I've had horses and donkeys of various types, at least 8 or 9 of them over the many years. And so the death of Adam was kind of more than just the death of a loved pet. It was the end of an era, is what I'm thinking. Because as Linda and I get older, we're getting into our late 70s and 80s. I don't think that we're going to commit ourselves to having more long-term animals. I once realized that when you have animals, they'll either be the cause of your sorrow or you'll be the cause of their sorrow, because one of you is going to pass away before the other. We've lived through many, many animals. I always thought that people are kind of like vampires, where they have lived through so many animals' lives in their lives that they can outlive all these beloved creatures. So besides losing Adam as a pet, I feel it's kind of the end of an era. And now the ranch without Adam, he felt like the soul of the ranch, seems pretty lonely. So we've taken on, right now we have just only one dog and two cats. Two cats died of old age in the last few months as well. So we're very down to just a few animals. And it feels pretty lonely around here. And of course, all the memories as I walk through the stall and have to clean up and everything. It's been a hard 2 months. On top of that, living here in the country has its own problems or situations that present itself. Um, as I talked about in some past videos, in the fall, a big tree came down and there was a big cleanup that took, over a month to clean up. And that was about the same time that I had a fall and hurt my rotator cuff. And even though my rotator cuff was injured, I had to work through it and do the big cleanup. And then we've had a few major things happen. The water system went out. I had to repair that, and the septic system went out. So the other major thing that happened was we got a notice from a homeowner's insurance that we're going to be canceled due to being a wildfire risk. This was in around January of 2025. Many, many people around here are losing their homeowners insurance, mainly because after the fires in Southern California, the major insurers are trying to run out of California, and they're using whatever excuse they can to get out of homeowners insurance. And many of them don't want to appear that they're using the wildfire risk as an excuse. So now they're looking for other ways to drop you off their insurance. And we've had AAA for amount of years. They charge an exorbitant amount of insurance, and then all of a sudden, when it doesn't benefit them because they have to pay off other claims from other areas, now they're looking for a way out. So we got this call in January saying that they were planning to drop us, and there's no other major carriers in this area that are covering homeowners insurance. I mean, it's becoming a big problem in California where people can't afford to buy homes because you can't get a loan if you can't get homeowners insurance. And lucky for us, we own our property outright. We have 5 acres and a nice home that we've been in for 30 years, and it's all paid off. And so we're lucky in that sense that we don't have a bank loan that we have to worry about. But we do worry about the wildfire season is coming up. And this is June. We're in the beginning of it. We have to do all the major firewood and weed cleanup. And so that's a major concern. And without, if we lose this homeowners insurance, we're going to be, in a bad situation. So I had to make a big decision. And my decision, because the insurance company would not guarantee that they would reinstate our insurance, and we fixed everything up. When we finally got the paperwork from the insurance company changed it from the wildfire risk to our roof needs repair, and it does. It's a pretty old roof, and I covered it with tarps until I got to this summer. I was going to redo the roof, but our notice of cancellation was in May, and we got the notice in like early April, and it was in the rainy season, so I couldn't repair the roof. So I decided to wait till the rains subsided and do the roof on my own. So in early April, I decided to start working on the roof. The weather cleared up. And for somebody that's my age, 78, it became a major undertaking. I didn't realize the roof was in that bad shape. It needed lots of structural repair, so I built this huge scaffolding to work on the roof because my family worried about me falling off the roof. And so at the beginning of April, I started working about 8 hours a day, every day for the last 5 weeks trying to get the roof done. But it reached a point in the beginning of May, just last month, where I realized I wasn't going to get the roof done in time to get the clearance with my insurance company. So in the very last week before we were going to be canceled, I was able to find a roofing company and get them in here and get the roof completed. And it was just in the nick of time because we had to submit photos and we submitted on the very last day. And they were very stringent about the photos. So luckily, I had changed over from trying to do the roof myself to hiring a roofing company. And had I not hired the roofing company, I don't think, even if I had done a good job, they would have passed the roof. So luckily, we did get our roof. We got their insurance reinstated. And of course, this is the weed eating season, so I'd put it off, and now I'm in the midst of doing the weed eating. And I think that once we get the weeding done, in the next week or two, we'll be out in the clear and open again, and I can start my life again. So my life has been taken kind of ransom for the last 4 or 5 months, from one project to another. With Adam passing away, kind of like the down feeling that I've had, trying to overcome that. Sometimes you just have to ride it out. Um, I think that the roofing job helped me get through the sadness that I felt over losing Adam. I think that was one of the benefits. I kind of plunged myself into it like a madman. But in doing that, I kind of wore my body out. I wasn't able to do practice. I resolved myself to the fact that if I was going to do this roofing job, I had to let go of doing my practice because my body wouldn't take all that work and the practice and and also I had to stop my weightlifting when my rotor cuff went out. So it's been a big dramatic change for me from going into the past and around beginning of September was my kind of my apex of my practice and feeling healthy and going through all this for the last 5 or 6 months. But I'm coming out through it, and so now resolve my resolve is to get back into my practice and my weight training and getting healthy again. So that's just kind of a recap of all the things been happening to me. I know that a lot of you are faithful followers and kind of like have been using my channel as a way of inspiration. And I'm sorry that it's taking so long to get through this dark period, but that's been what's happening with my life. And I, for myself, have been trying to find my own way through it with my own practice, trying to find out how to deal with it. And so hopefully we'll get more videos posted. I want to get back into uplifting channel. I still have a lot of historical videos I need to post on Sifu's Portsmouth Square days and kind of bring the channel back. Thank you for all your faithful followers following me through this period, and we'll see you in the next few videos. Thank you.